All right, everybody. Welcome to the partner-led session of CPRA's Coastal Industry Briefing and Construction Project Forecast here as part of the 2024 CPRA Coastal Industry Week. Everybody, my name is Jacques Boudreau. I'm an engineer here at CPRA. I work in our Lafayette regional office. This is our final day that we've had after more than a week long of different sessions pertaining to CPRA's Coastal Industry Week, as y'all know, is held in tandem with Coastal Day at the legislature, which was yesterday, Monday, March 25th. But we're all excited to be here. We've got a good agenda here, as I'm showing here on the screen now. We've got a lot of presenters just now. If you were in the room while we were preparing, we're going to be switching back and forth between different screens as we try and take care of, as you see here, some risk reduction projects that are coming for construction, followed by some more restoration projects, and then followed by a third grouping down towards the end that I'm just labeling other project presentations. We'll hear from Ducks Unlimited, for instance, someone from Digital Engineering, and the Greater Lafourche Port Commission. But y'all, we're excited and want to go ahead and kick things off. I'm going to go over just a couple of ground rules and some general info. I'm going to direct your attention to the chat box. I'm putting in some information on how general questions, general inquiries can get sent in to us. I'm providing my email address as well as a general one for the organization. If you have any questions that are kind of just non-technical, I guess, general in nature, maybe subsequent to this meeting here, you can use those resources there for sure. And then in the event that throughout the different presentations pertaining to projects themselves, if you have any questions, what I'd like for y'all to do is to put your questions into the chat box. I'll be monitoring them. I'll do the best I can to get them fielded. It'll probably be, for the most part, up to the presenter and the project rep to take care of that. I'll attempt to answer any questions if I'm able. And I guess with that, y'all, we'll go ahead and get in. That's essentially it. I do want to mention this meeting is being recorded. It'll be made available for public broadcast, public distribution after the fact. With that, we can transition here into agenda item number 2. As I mentioned earlier, these will be the grouping of upcoming risk reduction projects to be bid for construction. The first one I have here is agenda item 2A, and I just got off the phone with Mr. Reggie Dupre from the Terrebonne Levee and Conservation District. He and Mr. David Boudreau from Delta Coast Consultants, they're unable to make it here. They asked I make a little announcement on their behalf. I'm not going to present anything or represent the project, but he did mention that the district is in the process of letting work to come on the landscape here soon to raise some of their levees on the southern end of their parish, southern end of their system from 10 foot to 12 foot. I believe that's elevations relative to NAVD 88. And he's also got a different project for some braced eye wall construction. So if anyone here is in attendance that is interested in the upcoming Terrebonne projects, what you can do is you can send me an email and I can get the proper folks to field that question, field any other information for you as it pertains to upcoming schedule when the bid advertisement period will begin, things of that nature. Agenda item number 2, I'm going to ask Mr. Arthur Ostheimer of the North Lafourche Levee District to go ahead and share his screen to talk about some of their projects they have coming on. Arthur, I can see your screen. I'm not able to. There you go. Okay.
You can hear us now?
Yep. Go for it, Arthur.
All right.
Appreciate it.
My name is Arthur Ostheimer with the North Lafourche Levee District. I'm the program manager here. We have a couple projects we're going to highlight that's part of the Morganza to the Gulf Eastern tie-in, which is the whole 98-mile system. About 11 and a half miles comes into the North Lafourche area. First project we're going to go over is Reach 3B. Just share some general information, the layout, sections, and quantities, and what our expected schedule is. Morganza to the Gulf Reach 3B is the most northern section of the current core alignment for Morganza to the Gulf, which basically runs just south of Gaines and stops at the Company Canal. The levee section itself is approximately 2.1 miles. So, and you can see, generally speaking, Gaines would be up here and town of Lockport to your left, and that's the ridge that the levee will be running on. This is general layout. Like I said, it's 11,300 linear feet or 2.1 miles. This is a portion of the total Reach 3, which is about 5 miles that runs down. Typical section is we're doing this interim lift to a crown elevation of 7.5 feet. And across these sections with 4-to-1 slopes. Some of the quantities of interest as a levee project, the embankment quantity is 161,800 cubic yards. You will be excavating a new ditch along the agricultural fields, which is excavating at 25,500 linear cubic yards. And then you also will be backfilling the existing ditch, which will be part of the levees. Our expected schedule, the design phases should be complete in August of 24. We already have the land rights agreed to. We expect an advertisement in fall. It'll probably be later fall, into September, October timeframe. And currently our construction is expected to be 270 days on this project. The next project we'll discuss is Morgans to the Gulf Reach 1. This is going to be an interim haul road that we're going to construct. This is all the way on the southern end, which runs from basically the GIWW up. Just generally speaking, they could, this is in La Rose, Louisiana. And Reach 1 will tie in to the eastern sector gate once it's constructed by the Corps. This is the general layout. It'll be worked as a ring system with not a whole lot of material needed on the bottom, but as you can see, there is some open water sections and marsh where it's going to be some improvement to existing private levees and also construction of new levees. Some typical section is being a haul road is going to be elevated to a +5 across this section as shown with 3-to-1 side slopes. Some of the quantities of interest, and once again, the excavation quantity, it's split up across a few different areas, but the main quantity is across that new levee / haul road area, which is 109,000 cubic yards of material. Our estimated cost of construction on this project is just under $6 million. Currently, we're working on the design, which we expect to be completed around September. We're working with land rights and servitude agreements, which should be done this summer. And we're hoping to advertise it at the end of the year, November 2024. And the expected duration for this project is approximately 6 months. That's the two projects we had to share today.
Okay, appreciate it, Arthur. Good presentation. Definitely some important work over there, that critical flood protection system. I'm gonna pause for a minute and share my screen back with the agenda. I'll probably do that here between all of them. I'm looking at the chat box for any questions. So far, I'm seeing none. Maybe give folks another brief moment or two to send any in. The next presentation I have, I believe Nick Mathern will be presenting, but it is on behalf of the South Lafourche Levee District. And what we can do is go ahead and have Nick share his screen, and assuming no questions, we can transition into those.
All right. Well, Arthur very unfairly set the bar for not being long-winded, so I'll try to keep that going, but no promises. All right. All right, so you guys see the screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, well, Jacques, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Nick Mathern, General Manager of the South Lafourche Levee District in Lafourche Parish. We operate and maintain a 48-mile ring levee system that protects the communities of La Rose, Cutoff, Galliano, and Golden Meadow along Bayou Lafourche, just north of Port Fouchon. Our levees currently protect us to around 16 to 18 feet on the southern end and taper down to around 13 feet on the northern end. We have some really important projects. We're excited to get started on construction over the next 12 to 8 months. So let's dive in. First project is one we've been working toward for several years now, and that's the conversion of the Ted Gisclair floodgate in LaRose at the north end of our system into the Ted Gisclair lock complex. So we currently have a 56-foot wide sector gate that helps us control water levels in Bayou Lafourche, but as relative sea level rise has impacted us more and more over the years, the need for a lock has become increasingly vital to protect our people while facilitating navigation to Port Fourchon. So for this project, we'll be installing a second set of sector gates immediate southeast of the existing sector gate to form a lock on Bayou Lafourche right below its intersection with the GIWW. So here you see the layout of the existing 56-foot sector gate down the middle of Bayou Lafourche and LaRose, with Highway 1 on the west and Highway 308 on the east. And you see where, in relation to that existing gate, we're planning to install a new sector gate system with a 60-foot wide clear opening. We did something very similar to this on our Lee, Ontario floodgate in Golden Meadow back between 2007 and 2009, where we built a secondary sector gate to serve as a lock complex. And we're mimicking that same system here that's worked perfectly for us on the southern end of our system for over a decade now. We're only holding back inches of water at a time, as opposed to several feet like other lock systems some of you may be familiar with, like the Port Allen locks just south of the Mississippi River Bridge in Baton Rouge. So because of the small amount of water we're handling, we haven't needed an enclosed chamber that pumps water in and out to equalize the water level to the water level that the vessel is traveling toward. So as I said, it's a 60-foot clear opening sector gate with a top of wall elevation at +5 and a sill down to a -13. It'll include a 245-foot long guide wall extending from the existing gate to the new gate, and construction will include some channel dredging and placement of riprap scour protection. And in addition to the gate itself, the project will include a control house, electrical work, an access ramp, security fencing, and other associated components. So design and permitting for this project are complete. We've been waiting on a guarantee of the last bit of funding before securing our land rights, but that funding is now anticipated in the upcoming supplemental appropriations bill during this current legislative session. So barring any hiccups in that process, we'll hope to bid this project out later this fall with our estimated construction cost right around $30 million. So any more technical or detailed questions, refer to Pisciola and Associates, headquartered here in South Lafourche. They're our engineer on this project. You can contact Joe, Ben, or Mark there at their main office number. So moving along, another project that Pisciola and Associates has been working for for the past several years is the elevation of Section A east of our levee system. So this stretch is the southeasternmost portion of our ring levee system, east of the town of Golden Meadow. We'll be working with CPRA on this project to lift this nearly 5-mile section of levee another 3 feet in elevation. So the existing levee here hovers around 16 feet, and we're looking to raise that to 19 feet, anticipating that it'll settle over time closer to around 18 feet. We'll match the existing 10-foot crown width, and the improvements will straddle the center line of the existing levee. We'll also add some material to the protected side berm of the levee for additional support at the base, and we're estimating around 210,000 yards of dirt to make this project happen. Design on this project's about 90% complete. We're just ironing out some geotechnical questions right now with CPRA, but permitting is complete. And now that we have the funding guaranteed from CPRA, we're pursuing land rights. We're also trying to coordinate with a local landowner to provide the borrow material and construction access for this project. So we're hoping to make this as cost effective as possible for our contractor. Construction costs is currently estimated at around $7 million, and we hope to advertise later this fall. Again, Pisciola and Associates is our engineer for this project. So feel free to contact Jobin or Mark with any more detailed or technical questions you might have. So hopping over onto the opposite side of our system, we're looking to start construction very soon on lifting section A west of our levee another 3 feet. So that's west of the town of Golden Meadow at the southwestern end of our system. So this would take us again on this side from 16 to 18 feet up to 19 feet in elevation. Here, because of space constraints, we'd be shifting the center line of the levee over slightly with this lift, with a 10-foot wide crown and some improvements to the project, to the protected side berm for added stability at the base of the levee. And over the 2.42 miles of this project, we estimate needing around 180,000 yards of material to complete the work. So design on this project is about 60% complete, with permitting currently in progress, and the current cost estimate of this project is around $4.3 million. But we hope to advertise for this project later this fall, as funding was included in this year's annual plan that's currently making its way through the legislature. Angelette Design in LaRose is our engineer for this project, and you can contact Neil Angelette with any additional questions you might have on this one. So next, shifting to a slightly different scope than levee lifts, we've got GIS engineering designing a couple projects aimed at helping us control water levels in Bayou Lafourche a little better, in conjunction with the 2 gate structures at the north and south ends of our system. So the first of these 2 projects is what we're calling the A East Bayou Water Retention System. This will consist of around 19,000 linear feet of a 3-foot high retention levee around an interior pond area inside our levee system, along with 2 tidal exchange structures that we can operate to have that pond hold rainwater, so we can more quickly and efficiently lower the level of the bayou during and right after a rain event. So here you can see the large pond area that we're dealing with during rain events. To the immediate northeast of this area, we have our southernmost pump station on the east side of our levee alignment. And right near there, we have a siphon system right at the pump station intake that allows us to lower the level of Bayou Lafourche about 1/2 foot over 24 hours. The problem is that that siphon not only has to drain the bayou, but also this entire 600+ acre area of open water that you see on the map here inside of our system. So this project will allow us to close those tidal structures and retain rainfall inside those 600 acres and directly drain just the bayou instead of the bayou and this pond area. So then when conditions are better, we can open up those structures near the lock in Golden Meadow and allow that water to drain out the southern end of the system. So for this project, we'll be using on-site borrow to build the retention levees, and we'll be utilizing mats over some existing pipelines in the area to reach that target elevation of a +3. Then for the exchange structures themselves, we'll have 3 36-inch high-density polyethylene pipes running through the levee at each of the 2 structures, one on the northern end and one on the southern end of that pond area. And we'll have a timber deck structure running from the levee crown to the controls of sluice gates that will allow us to open and close those culvert openings as needed. We'll also reinforce these areas with some riprap scour protection. Design and permitting are both complete on this project. We're wrapping up coordination with the pipeline companies and landowners. The cost estimate for this project is around $1.4 million, and we're hoping to advertise sometime this spring or very early summer. And as I mentioned, GIS engineering is handling design and construction management for us on this project. You can reach out to John Plaisance, who I saw was also on this call, at their Galliana office, if you'd like any more details on this project. So our last project I want to talk to you guys about today is also aimed at helping us control the water in Bayou Lafourche by installing a variable crest weir on Breton Canal in Galliano, immediately below South Lafourche High School. Go Tarpons. So the gate will be replacing an existing earthen plug that will need to be excavated out and spread on the adjacent property. Then this weir structure will replace it with 4 bays and a top of wall height at a +4. We'll access these bays by walkways to be constructed over them with some safety and security infrastructure being installed as well. These gates on the weir will be controlled by hand cranks that will actually lower the gates to allow flow rather than raise them like on a sluice gate over a culvert. This will allow us to better kind of fine tune how much water is being allowed over the structure down Breton Canal from Bayou Lafourche, and it'll help reduce the risk of getting branches or other debris stuck far below the water line, which would prevent us from fully closing the structure when needed. There'll also be a small amount of bucket dredging required to lower the canal bottom and to allow for better flow down the Breton Canal. And at the other end of the Breton Canal is another one of our pump stations, and this will allow us to control the level of the water in Bayou Lafourche another half a foot over a 24-hour period. So design and permitting for this project are complete with our cost estimate around $950,000. This project is currently out for bid. Those plans and specs are available on Central Auction House, and bidding closes on this project on April 18th. We do have a pre-bid conference coming up Tuesday at 10 a.m. here at our office in Galliano. So for any other questions, you can again contact John Plaisance with GIS Engineering at their Galliano office. So that'll do it for us. Jacques, thanks so much for organizing this for all of us. We have some great work coming up and we're excited to get to it. So with that, I'll turn it back over.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. Good job. Good job covering all that ground. That was 5 different projects in that system. And I'll show my screen here as we prepare for any questions that we might have for Nick. But I did want to say I had the pleasure here recently of being able to go take a tour of a part of that system down there by the Lee Ontario Lock and on the southwest side. I believe that's section A-West down by the pump station there. Definitely a success story when you consider where Hurricane Ida made landfall and what that system was able to do in terms of protection of property and life. If we see any other questions here for Nick, we can definitely field them now. The next item on the agenda is Mr. Miles Garriott with Evans Graves Engineering, representing the Lafitte Area Independent Levy District with some upcoming projects they have there. Miles, I guess what I'll do is go ahead and have you share and can answer any questions there. Y'all, it was general, but a participant, it looks like T. Eshet, maybe, I'm not sure who that individual is, but just to be clear, we are going to make these presentations available publicly afterwards. We're actually conducting a recording right now that'll be made available. And as Nick had mentioned, if anyone in attendance or that sees this subsequent to this point in the future, if they have any questions, there's contact information embedded in the presentation and the recording. I guess with that, Miles, feel free to take it away.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Jacques. I'll echo the other participants' comments that, again, appreciate CPRA's partnership on these projects and in, making it all possible. So, Nick and Arthur had very good projects as well. Appreciate their presentations. And with that, I am Miles Garriott. I'm the program manager for the Lafitte Tidal Protection Program, which is being coordinated by the Lafitte Area Independent Levy District. We have 3 projects that I'll be presenting on today. All of these projects are at 90% or higher of design completion, and we expect them to go out for bid within the next 12 to 18 months. The first one's going to be Goose Bayou Basin. The second one is Crown Point Basin, and then the third one will be the Paylette Basin tidal protection projects. Just similar with the others, I'll give a brief project overview. Go over some of the typical sections and gate details, provide a summary of bid quantities, and then a projected schedule for each project. Just a little kind of overview of the project location. So the Lafitte Tidal Program encompasses 10 separate tidal protection projects. The Lafitte Area Independent Levy District is in the process of building new flood walls along Bayou Barataria
A
that either
participant has
connect
joined the
into
conference.
existing earthen levees on the back end of each basin, or constructing new earthen levees, all to a elevation of 7.5 feet. Some of the basins that you'll see here, Fisher Basin is the one completed basin at this point. Construction is fully completed with it for that. And the in-progress ones that I'll go over include the Rosethorn Basin. That one was split into 2 phases. And then Lower Lafitte there at the very south end of the greater Lafitte area. It's currently in progress as well. The Goose Bayou Basin, which we'll go over first, is right above. It's basin number 9 there on the map. And then we have the Crown Point Basin, which is actually at the very north of the map there. And then Paylette, which is that white basin number 6 there in the middle. So that's kind of a project overview. For those not familiar with the Lafitte area, it is a unincorporated area of Jefferson Parish, about 15 miles south of downtown. Here are just some pictures of some of the basins that I was just talking about. As you'll see, the Rosethorn Phase 1 is actually getting ready to wrap up construction. Rosethorn Phase 2, which just did, and construction will be starting here in about the next month or so. Fisher School Basin is completed, and Lower Lafitte Basin is under construction. You also see those back earthen levees that I was mentioning. That's a picture of a typical finished earthen levee. And each of these basins will basically be a ring levee that protects the residents and businesses in each basin. So the first project that we'll talk about is Goose Bayou Basin. There is kind of an overview of the basin. The project features roughly 13,900 linear feet of flood wall. That flood wall is that red line that you see there being constructed along the banks of Bayou Barataria, and it will actually tie in to an existing earthen levee on the back end of the basin there. There's a total of 9 floodgates included in the design for this basin. 5 25-foot swing gates, 2 20-foot swing gates, and 2 10-foot roller gates. Once it's constructed, it will protect about 364 acres. And here's just some typical bulkhead sections. I wanted to include both of these because a lot of the bulkhead that is going to be constructed will be constructed just inland, I should say, of Bayou Barataria. There are some businesses that are located along the shoreline, and for some of these businesses, they have existing sheet pile wall in front of their businesses in the water. For their purposes, we're able to drive the new sheet wall behind the existing sheet pile wall to get it up to elevation 7.5. So those are your typical bulkhead sections for Goose Bayou. There's also some eye wall sections. Here's a typical eye wall section. Again, just to reiterate, all of the features for all of the Lafitte tidal projects are being raised to elevation 7.5. Here's just a typical gate detail for the 25-foot swing gate for you to reference, and then a summary of big quantities. Obviously, the biggest quantities here are the PZC13 sheet pile, and that's pretty much what this project is. It's just all driving sheet pile along the banks of Bayou Barataria. Funding is secured, permitting is in the final stages. Again, this project's at about 95% design completion. We're just trying to wrap up the permit for this one, and we expect advertisement sometime early summer of 2024, and an estimated construction duration of about 500 days. Moving forward, Crown Point Basin is the next project we'll cover. This is a pretty large project. Includes over almost 13.2 miles of new or improved flood protection, approximately 16.8 thousand linear feet. There you can see it's about 6.1 thousand linear feet of eye wall, about 6,000 linear feet of earthen levee, and about 4.7 linear feet, 1,000 linear feet of bulkhead. There's 10 total gates planned for this basin, 3 25-foot swing gates, 3 15, that should be 15-inch diameter sluice gates, and 4 24-inch diameter knife gates. Here's a typical bulkhead section for the Crown Basin. Again, raising or installing new flood protection up to elevation 7.5. Typical levee section. One of the interesting things about this basin is that we're tying into LA 45, which is a road that goes kind of through the community. And it will include some coordination with DOTD. We'll be raising the roadway at where the flood protection ties into it to elevation 8. And so that's one component of this to factor in. Typical eye wall section here, again, elevation 7.5, and a typical gate detail, again, for the 25-foot swing gate. Here's your quantities, just part 1 of 2 for the quantities for this project. The major items are going to be on, part 2, which again, PTC 13 sheet pile, a lot of that, obviously, to go into this project. Construction funding, again, is secured. Permitting is in progress, and design is moving forward. We just got to 90% design and are planning on having 100% design here in the next couple months or so. So we expect a late summer 2024 advertisement date and a construction duration of 1,095 days. Last project I'll cover is Paylet Levee Basin. It's another ring levee, kind of in the middle of the greater levee area, if you recall the map. The proposed features are basically 27,000 linear feet of new flood protection, which includes 3 flood gates, a 25-foot swing gate, a 15-foot swing gate, and a 10-foot roller gate. Will protect an area of approximately 483 acres once it's constructed. There to the left side, because I will talk about it here shortly, but to the left side, you'll see a little inlet canal there. There is a pump station there, the Paylet Canal Pump Station, which this project will involve some pump station improvements associated with it. So something to keep in mind. Typical bulkhead section, once again, raising or installing new flood protection up to 7.5 feet. A typical earthen levee section there for you, and a typical eye wall section. Here's another typical gate detail for the swing gates on the project, proposed swing gates for the project. And your quantities, again, sheet piling is going to be the major quantity here, but there's also a lot of embankment involved for the Paylet Basin. Construction funding is secured, permitting is in progress, and once we get through permitting, we have the projected to advertise the date of early fall, I would say 2024, in a estimated construction duration of 500 days. And that is it.
Thank you, Miles. Enjoyed the introductory section too before you got into the detail-oriented portions for the 3 projects there. We'll get.
Yeah, and I should add, if there's any technical questions that anyone has after reviewing that, I know that was pretty basic overview of each project, but I've had my email address there on the title slide, and I'd be more than happy to put you in touch with any of the design engineers who are involved in any of the basins.
Yeah, good thinking there, Miles. And I'll say the same thing too. If it takes folks a little while to process some of the info here, not just on the Lafitte projects, but any project, my email address is in the chat box. You're more than welcome to send me any general questions, and I'll try and field them. And if they're technical in nature, I can pass them off to, say, Miles, for instance, for fielding that way via the design teams. So I'm keeping an eye on the chat box here, just in case of any, before we move into agenda item 3, which will be the restoration projects. But just a brief overview there. Okay, here we go. There's one from Jim Poe with Kiewit. Miles, I don't know if you see that. He says, can he provide the estimated project values?
Yeah, I can follow up with that if again, if he wants to reach out to me on my email address there on the title slide, then I'd be happy to get that over to him.
Yeah, there you go, Mr. Jim. We can take care of that, I guess, that way. But just as kind of an introduction to agenda item 3. I mean, we did this last year, and I thought it made sense to do it this year. We grouped the risk reduction or flood protection projects up in agenda item 2, and we wanted to kind of follow that up with some of the more restoration type projects that you see. For instance, that the way our master plan is set up here at CPRA, we've got more infrastructure oriented levee type projects, seawalls, floodgates, pump stations, things like that are called for. And then we've also got a lot of more restoration type projects, shoreline protection, marsh creation, the more soft type of restoration that really kind of encompasses what CPRA's mission is here to do, to provide both sides of that. So I guess with that, we're going to hear more from the next presenters on the latter category that I just described. I'll go ahead and invite Brees Barnes from NRCS to share his screen to talk about an upcoming CPRA funded marsh creation project out on the southwest side of the state.
Thanks, Chuck. Let me share my screen here. Is that popping up for you?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Well, thanks again, Jock and CPRA for inviting me here to talk today. Like you said, I'm Brees Barnes. I'm a design engineer with the Natural Resources Conservation Service. Here to talk today about the South Grand Chenier Baker Tract Marsh Creation Project, which we're working on with CPRA as our local sponsor. Brief overview, I'll just go over a quick summary of all the project features and the bid quantities, everything that's kind of necessary to know for construction. This project is located in the southwest corner of the state in Cameron Parish, east of the town of Grand Chenier and just directly west of Rockefeller Wildlife Refuge. It's being built through the CPRA program with, like I said, with CPRA as our local sponsor. Here's a little bit kind of a zoom in of the project location. You can see Rockefeller Refuge directly to the east, and just directly south of our planned construction site was the ME20 Marsh Creation Project, which we built, completed construction in 2022 in partnership with the Fish and Wildlife Service. That was a pretty great success. So we're trying to move forward and keep restoring marsh, historic marsh in this area. Our planned schedule right now, we received phase 2 approval from the CPRA program to move forward with construction in January of this year. Submitted all the information and whatnot to the permitting offices in that same month. And once we get the permits through, which we're anticipating at the end of this year or early next year, we're going to be posting bid advertisements up on sam.gov. And we're expecting it's going to be about 260 days of construction, which is including about a month's worth of bad weather days. Okay, so diving into the project features of this marsh creation, it's pretty straightforward. We have one large base marsh creation area, which is a little bit less than 400 acres, where we'll be restoring open water area to an intermediate marsh. There is also what we're calling an unconfined marsh creation area down at the beach at the Gulf of Mexico. This is going to be the plan there, is to fill in a borrow ditch that was used to create the Price Lake levee. In recent years, after Hurricanes Laura and Delta, this opened up to the coast and has been the conduit for salt water to come in directly into these interior marshes. It's kind of really wreaked havoc on the vegetation inside. So we're just going to try and place some material there to close off that borrow ditch further and manage salinity in the area. And I guess the kind of unique part of this project is this, what we're calling an alternative marsh creation area, located directly north of our main marsh creation area. And this is, like I said, is gonna be a little unique in that it's gonna be kind of semi-confined, and it's mostly just gonna be a large dewatering area. I'll get to in the next slide when we go over our containment dike layout, but basically there's a drainage canal that runs directly east of this project area, built by the local levee district, and that has been doing a really good job of conveying fresh water into the area. Has been really helpful with controlling salinity, and so we want to make sure we don't silt that in during construction. So this alternative marsh creation area is going to be kind of like a big area to dewater into from our base marsh creation area to try to avoid those consequences. Here we kind of get into our containment dike layout. That white line we see is kind of encircling our base marsh creation area where we're really focusing our build, where we want to build up, and that's going to be fully enclosed. And then the red and the blue lines directly north of that are going to be what's enclosing our alternative marsh creation area. These are all going to be built no matter what. And so what's kind of going to happen is that there's going to be no dewatering directly into this canal east of the marsh creation site, but it will be allowed on the west side and up into this alternative area. And then from there, in that alternative area can dewater again into the west or the east, but just kind of give it a little, give the flow, our dredge slurry, kind of a little Texas two-step, so it doesn't go directly into the drainage canal. We're gonna just try and reduce some of that sediment content of that dewatering outflow, so it doesn't, like I said, silt it in directly and kind of undo all of the work that has been previously done by the local district. And then if we get a kind of a good price on volumes, then we'll pump a little bit extra into this main area, and then that'll be used to kind of fill in and raise up the mudline elevation of this north area as well. Here's kind of our sections of our planned containment dikes. It's pretty standard, building it up to an elevation of plus 3.5 with 4-to-1 side slopes, and a berm width of about 35 feet from the toe of the containment dike to what we're calling the containment dike borrow area. Based on geotechnical analysis, there's not many concerns with slope stability in this area. It's over on the west side of the state, so the soils are a lot firmer than we're kind of seeing over here on the east side of the state. And with the ME20 construction, there wasn't really any problems with containment dike stability. Okay, so getting into the bar area where we're going to be pumping all this mud in from, it's an area about a few miles offshore in the Gulf of Mexico. It's directly adjacent to what was used for the ME20 marsh creation project. We know what the soils are like in the area. They flowed very well, worked very well for dredging construction, which we kind of see on this next slide here, which is kind of showing our profile of what we've surveyed in the area of the bar area. From experience, about the top 10 feet of below the mud line is very soft clays, and then below that there's a shell layer and then stiffer clays below. Speaking with the dredging contractors from ME20, that those soft clays at the surface are really malleable, really easy to work with. So we're expecting that people will probably just want to stick to those during construction, but we're permitting for down to about negative 40 feet anyways, in case people want to dive a little bit deeper, want to get to those stiff clays. But we did verify through volume calculations that there will be enough of the very soft clays above that about negative 30 foot line to complete construction. The dredge pipeline corridor coming in from offshore, it's pretty much almost entirely open water. coming in from the Gulf. That's all obviously open water. And then there's kind of a series of borrow ditches and canals that leads straight all the way up to the marsh creation area. So there's no access dredging or anything that's going to be required to bring in the dredge pipeline. The only kind of part that's not open water is this earthen plug here down at the shore that is preventing all the ocean water from kind of coming in straight up into this borrow canal. So here we'll be as part of our specifications, we'll be asking that the contractors will be deploying matting over the earthen plug to kind of maintain the integrity and not completely tear it up during construction. And the other kind of landowner condition that we want to fulfill here is we're going to be burying a small segment of pipe about 75 feet that we can clearly mark and allow the landowners to use for boating access. And I'm going to make sure that they still have full access of their property during the several months of construction. All right, getting down to the end as we walk through everything. Here's our bid quantities that we're expecting. It's about 1.6 million cubic yards of marsh creation to fill in those 400 acres and bring it up to a healthy marsh level. In order to build that, it's going to be about 20,000 linear feet of containment dikes. And like I said, if a unit cost price come in low below what we're expecting, there's room in the budget. Then we'll also be asking to provide an additional 200,000 cubic yards of dredge material to help raise up the mudline of our alternative marsh creation area as well. That's about everything I had. I'll turn it back over to Jock unless there's any questions.
Yeah, Brees, I'm looking now. Thanks for the presentation.
Yeah, sure thing. And if anyone wants to get with me on anything later, I don't think I have my email listed, but it's just a brees.barnes@usda.gov, where you can ask Jock and he can pass along my contact information.
Yeah, absolutely. My email address should be in the chat box for, I think for the most part, everyone that's in attendance now should have that. I'll put it back in there as well. I'm seeing a question from M. Forston. Just while we're here, yeah, the answer to this question, will the presentation slides be emailed? Yes, we're planning on distributing that publicly once Coastal Industry Week wraps up, which is we're essentially at the end of it now. But I'm thinking sometime next week, CPRA's outreach department is going to be sending out a broadcast email. If you don't get it, Mr. or Mrs. Forston, you're able to email me and I'll get it to you. I'll put that in the chat box here in a second. I'm going to show my agenda for the next upcoming presenter. It's going to be Danny Dehan from CH Fenstermaker and Associates. He's presenting two projects in the same general area out on the west side of the state, southwest corner of the state, Cameron and Cameron Gulf Shoreline Protection Project. And then we're going to follow that up with the Mermentau Basin Inundation Relief Project. And Danny, if you'd like, you can go ahead and share your screen.
Thanks, Jacques. Hope y'all can hear me all right.
I can hear you.
All right, good deal. I'll jump right into it. As Jacques said, I'm Danny with CH Fenstermaker. I'm presenting on a couple projects down in Cameron Parish. The Mermentau project is actively being bid right now, so I'm just going to give just a general description of that at the end, but we'll go into detail on this shoreline stabilization project, ME38. So as far as location, there's two primary beaches that we're working along. On the east side of the Cameron Parish Ship Channel, or the Calcasieu Ship Channel, is Rutherford Beach. And on the west side, it's kind of a grouping of three beaches, but Little Florida, Gulf Breeze, and Constance Beach. And these are kind of extensions of previous shoreline protection projects where they've got inhabited structures on these beach fronts. As I mentioned, they're extensions of previous projects. For the Gulf regions, Constance Beach, it's going to be segmented breakwaters. You see that in yellow, the alignment. And generally speaking, probably adjust that a little bit as we continue with the design. It's about 26 breakwaters out there. And the plan for this side is to utilize the existing breakwaters that are out there. Those were put in the early 90s, and the shoreline has migrated since then further inland to where those breakwaters aren't as effective as they once were, and protecting the shoreline and trying to get that beach response that you typically see behind breakwaters. And then the other side over at Rutherford Beach is going to be another full 1,500-foot segment, and then to finish out the western side of everything that was originally permitted, another few hundred feet over on that side. So we have done some lightweight core projects, but that's mainly over by Rockefeller Beach. Here, this is an all rock breakwater. We've got some bedding zone and then armor stone on top of that, up to a 2.5-foot elevation. And you can see some typical sections. We've got the bedding stone down at the bottom, about 1 foot thick, and then the armor stone on top of that, 7-foot crowns. Down below, you kind of see the different layouts. Rutherford Beach has a little bit of a dog leg, longer segments and a shorter gap between them. This is what we've used in the past. Probably adjust these values, but about 225-foot segmented breakwater with 100-foot, 80-foot gap in between. We're still finalizing the geometry on that. And as I mentioned, one of the main unique factors on the project here is that we're utilizing the existing rock that's out there. We've just seen a large increase in the cost of the riprap coming from out of state, coming down the river, and plan to utilize what was previously installed to try to mitigate some of that cost. But of course, that does come with challenges of working in the open Gulf. So that's about it for the Cameron Shoreline Protection Project. The other project that I mentioned it's kind of more of a program than a single project, but it's the Mermentau Basin Inundation Relief Project. It's through the LWI program through OCD. So 2 of the projects that are actively out for bid right now. One is a series of water control structures, 4 separate water control structures with 4 to 6 one-way combination sluice gate valves on them. And then the other is a rehab of the east end locks. If anybody's interested in those, please reach out to me, and I can get you the plans and specs. We do have pre-bid meetings tomorrow and Thursday for those. They're not mandatory, but if you'd like to attend, again, let me know and I can get you the plans and specs on them, get you on the plan holders list. And if you're able to attend tomorrow or the next day for the 2 pre-bid meetings, we can get you that information as well. And the bids for both of those open on April 11th at 2 p.m. Since it's in Cameron Parish, they only accept paper bids down there, just for reference. That's all I had. There's my contact information right there, but if you want to reach out to Jacques, I'm sure he can get it to you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking at the chat box for any other questions pertaining to the main project presentation being the Cameron Gulf Shoreline Protection Project, but definitely as it pertains to the one that's actively being bid as well. Thanks for that clarification, Danny. Also saw Kara in attendance. Kara, definitely a champion of Southwest Louisiana who's here. Great work going on down the southwest side of the state. I'm gonna show my screen again, show the agenda. The next presenter I had listed out was Nick Saunier with Sellers and Associates. Nick is not able to join us today, but he did send me a message asking I relay some information. And so just kind of reading from his email that I got, Vermilion Parish has 3 projects that they anticipate are going to construction in the next year or so. They are the Schooner Bayou Structure Rehabilitation Project, the Cheniero Teague Gap Closure, and the Cheniero Teague Ridge Restoration Project. So unfortunately, we don't have any presentations for that upcoming work. But if you would like to send me a message and or send one to the general email address I've provided, I'd be more than happy to pass that along to the right folks that represent Vermilion Parish to get you some info there. And I believe some of that work may have been presented last year. Nick Saunier did a Vermilion Parish project update last year, so we might even be able to find something from our files last year. But yeah, do reach out. I'll put you in touch with Nick and the rest of the group at Sellers and Mr. Keith Roy out at Vermilion if necessary. But with that, we're going to go into the next agenda item, which is agenda item 3F.
A participant has left the conference.
Kind of going over to the eastern side of the state in Lafourche Parish. I've got Tyler Ortego, who's going to be presenting the Catfish Lake. Excuse me, not Tyler. It's going to be Morgan. And Morgan, I believe your last name is pronounced. Sorry if I butchered. Is it Degrees? Is that right?
Degrees, like the temperature.
There you go, Degrees. Morgan, going to go ahead and have you share your screen on behalf of Kevin Desarn for the Grand Bayou Freshwater Reintroduction Project. And just while you do that, I wanted to relay a message I also got from Megan Dufresne, who's the Lafourche Coastal Zone Manager. Should anyone have any questions for her, she might even be in attendance here, but she's asked, you can send me an email. I'll link you up with her. That email address in the chat box is good for that, as well as what Danny had mentioned. But yeah, Morgan, feel free to take it away.
Hold on, let me see if I can get this to show a little better on my end. When I try to go to the full screen, it changes screens on me. So let's try this. I'm having some trouble. Here we go. All right, now let me share my screen. All right, do y'all see it or no?
It looks good to me on my end. Oh, you just
hold on,
stopped.
All right. How about now?
Yeah, you should be good. Thanks,
All
Morgan.
right. So, appreciate you, Jacques. So as the agenda said, I'm filling in for Kevin Desarn. My name is Morgan Degrees. I'm a civil professional engineer and project manager over at GIS Engineering. And I'm be telling you a little bit about our Grand Bayou Freshwater Reintroduction Project that us and our team at GIS have been working on. So a little bit of project history and location. So this project's been around quite a while. Originated back in 1996, which was a little bit different back then and included some water control structures along the levee system on the west bank of Grand Bayou. And then in 2002 was downsized a little bit due to some deauthorization issues and, cost benefits, things like that. Back in 2014, though, the project was picked back up as, the parish wanted to develop its multi-year implementation plan from the Treasury Department and as part of the Restore Act funding. And then back in 2019, Lafourche Parish bonded out its Go Mesa revenue. And then in 2020, Lafourche Parish got with us over at GIS Engineering and we began the design work on the project. As you can see here, the project is located along Highway 24. This is the Berg-LaRose Highway on your way to LaRose. is right next to the Knockamp boat launch, I believe is called Bayou Blue Marina, right there. If some of you are familiar with it, you can kind of see it right here. Project benefits, hydraulic modeling, salinity reductions is the main benefits here. As you can see on the left, this is the current conditions and the salinity. And what we're trying to do with this pump station is push those salinity readings further south to develop and, build up that marsh that's all within this area. So through our hydraulic modeling, we've actually seen that we can get about 73,000 acres that'll at least see 1 parts per thousand of reduction of salinity. And we're going to be doing this by hopefully building a 1,200 CFS freshwater diversion pump station. And that's going to pull the fresh water from the Atchafalaya down Grand Bayou by way of the GIWW. So here's a little rendering. It's a little dated with these box culverts here shown in the middle. We've actually gone to a bridge configuration, but for general purposes here, this gets the job done. But overall in the project, piece that we'll get into is the demolition, boat launch, sheet pile cutoff wall, the excavation and dredging, bridge and access road, the bank line and scour protection, and then of course the pump station itself. So this is a little view of our demo plan. The biggest things we have here are going to be these large concrete tank foundations. This was some sort of a oil plant back in the day. So they do have some infrastructure still here lingering back from the 70s. So we'll have to get all of that out. They've got some boat sheds, buildings on site, existing docks within the slip that are going to have to be removed, as well as a few other things. So the boat launch. So we're going to be building a new boat launch for any of the people that frequent the marina right there to be able to launch and go north. Once we build the sheet pile cutoff wall that I'll get to on the next slide, you'll have to take 2 separate boat launches to go in either direction. But this boat launch is going to be, a steel bulkhead with wooden wharf and timber piles. We're going to have, some compacted limestone in there and a reinforced concrete ramp with some number 4 rebar, 4,000 PSI concrete, kind of standard boat launch here. So here's the sheet pile cutoff wall that I was talking about. And these are actually part of our team with Angelette Design. So this is actually Neil who's doing this boat launch and this sheet pile cutoff wall here. This sheet pile cutoff wall is going to be in to make sure once this pump station gets going that we don't start recirculating water. And you'll kind of see what I mean once we kind of get to a bigger blow up of the area. So make sure we don't do any kind of recirculation there. It's going to be a AZ12 700 steel sheet pile wall. And it's going to include 2 sluice gates that are going to be inside the wall. So that'll kind of work in tandem with the pump station when it's off to be able to let any of the natural flow that channel's already seeing flow through, so we don't always have to run this pump station. So you're looking at about a 25-foot sheet pile wall, top of wall elevation around 4.5, tip elevation around -20, and over about a 230 linear foot length over here. Next, we're looking at the excavation and dredging. So the biggest thing here is going to be the conveyance channel that comes through. This is going to be solid ground straight through those concrete tank foundations that I was talking about. That's going to divert the water down to the pump station. So currently, most of the channel is at a -8. We'll be bringing that down to a -10, 3-to-1 side slopes with a 40-foot wide base. And then additional excavation near the pump station. Our sump is looking to be at a -16.25. So having dredged down to that elevation with 3-to-1 side slopes and about 140-foot wide sump on there. And all in all, our estimated excavation, we're looking at about 150 to 200,000 cubic yards. Next, we have the bridge and access road. So as you can see here, to access the area, this will kind of be dredged out here going into the conveyance channel. So to allow access to the other side of the property for the landowners and then for the contractors, we're going to be designing a bridge. So it's going to be an aggregate access road that is going to be on a precast concrete bridge about 20 by 60 for that bridge supporting the HS20. And then the access road is going to be about 1,350 linear feet of aggregate, also supporting that same HS20 loading. And that access road is going to vary between 20 and 45 feet the closer you get to the pump station to allow for turnarounds and easy access during construction and then maintenance going forward. And on this bridge as well, we're going to have a trash screen mounted here. You can kind of see on the elevation view at the bottom center. That's going to be just to kind of be an additional line of protection before any kind of debris or anything like that gets to the actual pump station. And then we're looking here at about 1,000 cubic yards of aggregate total for this access road. Moving on to the bank line stabilization and scour protection. So we're going to have a combination of 130-pound and 250-pound riprap. So along the, and it's not necessarily shown here in this view, but just below where the view to the left is looking is the Highway 24 bridge that's existing. So it is pile supported. So we're probably going to have to do some riprap in that area. Also at the mouth of the conveyance, we'll have 130-pound riprap, and then on the intake of the pump station itself. And then come on the discharge side of the pump station, we're looking at 250-pound riprap. Estimated quantities here is about 3,500 tons total. So good bit of riprap there. Main features with operation of this pump station, it is not going to be a typical drainage pump station. This is something that's going to be primarily just for freshwater reintroduction into the area. So this is the scheduling or operation schedule of this pump station is mainly going to be based on the salinity readings at the GIWW, the pump station, and then there's an existing Grand Bayou flood control structure far to the south that's all going to kind of work in tandem and make sure that we can be as efficient as possible with the run times of this. But ultimately, pump station is going to be looking to run on average 12 hours a day for the entire year. That'll kind of come and go as the natural freshwater kind of comes and diverts through the GIWW. We can run it less, and whenever it's the opposite, we can run it a little more, but on average about 12 hours per day. Obviously as well, we don't want to shock the system and make ourselves vulnerable short term by flooding all of this fresh water into the existing marshes. So that is an ultimate schedule once we've kind of transitioned that ecosystem. So to the main piece of this is going to be the pump station. We are going to have an automated trash screen on here as well. That's going to be about 140 linear feet across, going from a +7 down to a -12. We've got 18-inch square concrete piles running throughout this thing underneath the sump, and we've got about 10,000 linear feet of that. And a 12-inch thick reinforced concrete sump slab running through the bottom of this. And then we've got some FP 475 vinyl baffle sheet pile walls that are going to be making the bays for each pump, as well as some NZ26 steel sheet pile walls for the sump wall and the exterior walls. So these are going to be a +2.5 to a -20 for the vinyl, and up to a +6 to a -20 for the steel. And also we're going to have some HSS 8x8 by 1/2 inch beams running throughout this thing. Additionally, with the pump station, we're looking at a 12-inch thick concrete deck on the top view here. You can see that's going to be placed at a +7. And that's going to be how you're going to access your 10 48-inch electric submersible pumps. These are going to be running 120 CFS each at approximately 200 horsepower. We're going to have an electrical building up there that's going to house all of your electrical equipment. It's going to be a little higher than your main deck at a +10. And then we'll have, which isn't really shown here, but an 80 kW generator, which is not going to be used to run the pumps and things like that, but more to run your HVAC system, your lighting, and any of your salinity gauges, things like that. So not for operating the full pump station itself. The power goes out. This isn't for drainage, so it's okay if it's unoperational for a little bit. So summary of our preliminary quantities here. As you can see, going through it, I'm not going to go line by line with this, but if you need these, and these are preliminary, so we just got to go ahead to go on with final design, so these may change a little bit once that comes. And then our project schedule. So our preliminary package was submitted back in May of 2023. We just got those comments back from the parish after some design alternatives we pursued, but those were ultimately kind of nixed. So we anticipate having our final design package done for November of this year, 2024, and then getting the permit by December of this year. So we're looking then to go straight into bidding and advertising there and completing that in January of 25, and then an 18 to 24 month construction duration. And that's about it. That's into my presentation. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna share my screen. Thanks again, Morgan.
Yeah,
And
no
we've got
problem. Thank
another.
you very much, Jacques. And also too, if anybody has any questions on that, I know my email address and all wasn't on the presentation, but if you need anything, you can get with Jacques. Jacques, I think you have my contact information now.
Yep.
And we can answer any of the questions that y'all might have.
Yeah, appreciate that, Morgan. Be happy to send it along to you and anyone at the parish. Say Megan and and Kevin as well. We'll give folks a moment for questions on the Grand Bayou Freshwater Reintroduction Project. But in the meantime, I'll go ahead and have Tyler Ortego come share his screen to present on behalf of the Catfish Lake Living Shoreline Project for the Lafourche Parish side.
All right, thank you, Jacques. Am I live?
I can see you, yeah, and I'm seeing no questions for Morgan either. I say go for it.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for putting this together. Talking about the Catfish Lake Living Shoreline Protection project. So this is a newer project. Working through Lafourche Parish government is the owner. So Archie and Megan, very active over there. Neil at D'Angelo Design is the engineer. So he's really driving this bad boy, and based on the prior presentations, I can understand why I am standing in for him to do this. I'm Tyler Ortego. I'm the general manager of Coastal Solutions for Natrix, and we work hand in hand with Dan Osps down the Bayou Company here. So I'm going to go ahead and read what Neil sent about the project. We're in the very early stages, but I'll have a little more information for you. So the goal of the project is to provide restoration and protection for approximately 1.6 miles along the eastern shoreline of Catfish Lake. And that'll include the construction of approximately 8,300 linear feet of living shoreline, utilizing innovative restoration projects such as Natrix exoforms, colloquially known as Cajun coral, as well as the construction of a 300-foot wide marsh apron. Borrow material is going to come from the lake. There's some other borrow sites that have been previously permitted in there. And the combination of the living shoreline, the newly created marsh, create a diverse habitat for that area, and add to the protection and resiliency of the South Lafourche levee system. So at Natrix, we use technology to promote harmonious balance between natural built worlds. That's enough about me. So here's the project area. So we've got a little handy laser here. This is Nick's levee system. This is Catfish Lake here. You can see that the edge is not really well defined there. And we're sort of operating about right here. You can see how all this area is somewhat beat up there. The LA1 extension is coming in somewhere around here. So a lot of activity going on in there. This is a side by side. This is 2019 on the right and 2024 on the left. Near infrared satellite imagery, false color satellite imagery. So you can see, like this feature up here sort of disappearing. The most robust feature in the landscape are these old spoil banks, and a lot of that is just breaking apart. So Neil is actively working on the field surveys and all that preliminary stuff right now. So this is really just a concept sketch. But you can see here in green, the marsh aprons are sort of utilizing existing features. And then in the red would be the shoreline protection, the nature-based shoreline protection in the front of that. The landowner here is, I think almost all of this is ConocoPhillips. And to the south, you have Apache. So what's that shoreline protection going to look like? One alternative would be something like our oyster break, so modular shoreline protection. We get a lot of bang for the buck. 5-foot vertical, low bearing pressure on soft soils. Alternative, we also use we moved our dry forming process to Louisiana, so we're making exoforms here. So we have a digital to physical production process that lets us create a variety of really naturalistic shapes. They're really great for these oyster growing areas to create living shorelines. We can tune the weight. They can be heavier for bigger waves or lighter for soil conditions. And so depending on what Neil comes up with, we can either build them on a constructed berm and sort of address the slope there. We can install in front similar thing with the oyster break. So that's sort of wide open right now. I don't have a schedule slide for you. The project is partially funded with funds from Lafourche Parish government, and I believe their intent is to do have like an anchor project, so build an initial increment while pursuing funds to do that whole lake rim there. So that's our project.
Appreciate it, Tyler. I'm seeing no questions directly related to the Catfish Lake Living Shoreline project. There is some chat traffic happening now. I'm in the process of responding to a question from Mr. and Mrs. Fortson, excuse me. We'll keep on monitoring for questions for your project, Tyler. But what I'm gonna do in the meantime is I'll share my agenda again. Excuse me, and go ahead and invite Matt Salmon from Friesen Nichols to present on the Upper Barataria terracing project.
All right, sounds good. So I think I've got it up on my end. Come through.
I'm not seeing anything yet. Sometimes there is a latency, and I
Try
think
that again.
I think the latency is making its way to me now. I think I see it now, Matt.
All right, perfect. I've got to learn to click all of the buttons. Use a bunch of these tools for the long haul. Well, much like everybody else, Jacques and CPRA, thank y'all very much for putting this together. I know that a lot of work goes into this, and this is a great opportunity for us to share everything that's going on. So I'm going to talk to y'all today about the Upper Barataria terracing project. So this is being led by Jefferson Parish. The project is located just a little bit south of Lafitte, probably about 25 miles or so. It's kind of in the middle of all of these other similar projects, that have happened within the Barataria Basin. We are the head engineer at Freese and Nichols. So my name, I didn't introduce myself too well, but I'm Matt Salmon, and I'm a coastal engineer and project manager at Freese and Nichols. The landowner is the Jefferson Parish School Board. All of the funding for this project came through a NIFWIF grant. And we're basically going to be, completing kind of 450 acres of restoration through the construction of 33,000 linear feet of earthen terraces. And then, kind of post terraces being built, we're also going to have those vegetated as well. So it's kind of a quick project outline. We anticipate that access to this project area will be, from the Barataria waterway, either from Lafitte or coming in from the south. We've got water depths that range from about 3 to 6 feet, depending on which access route is chosen. We don't anticipate any dredging to occur for this project for access. We think that was enough flotation provided, just kind of based on other projects and experience. So overall, there's a larger area here that is about 49,000 feet of terraces. I think y'all heard me mention 33,000. So that's what's going to be coming up for bid this year. We are trying to chase after some other funding opportunities to open it up to that full 49,000. But right now it's just set as 33,450 acres. Here's a quick layout that y'all can see on the right-hand side of your screen. It's a kind of a partial wing setup. And this next slide, we'll kind of get into how that works. So each terrace is going to be constructed to an elevation of 3.5 feet and with side slopes of 6 to 1. What we've done recently is we had a geotech analysis completed, and most of the material here is not great. It's a lot of heavy organics in that top 10 to 20 feet. Something that they're similar to seeing over in the La Branch Marsh at the current time. So our geotech estimated that there's going to be quite a bit of settlement and also quite a bit of spreading. So we had to kind of increase our borrow area to placement to be about 2.5 borrow to 1 placement. Based on the experience they're seeing at the La Branch Marsh, which has very similar geotech to ours. They didn't necessarily need all of that material, and it was a little bit stronger than anticipated, but it could be one of the issues that we run into here, is that we have to use all of that borrow material, but hopefully trying not to. The borrow areas are going to be on either side of the marsh terracing project, and we're going to basically request that the contractor in their plan, identify a primary and a secondary borrow area, and then also kind of identify a planning protocol. Just kind of wrap everything up, just kind of the standard bid items, that are going to go into the project. We've got our survey and the geotech and the cultural resources have been done. That's about 33,000 linear feet total dredge volume. We've estimated as about 975, and that's if it requires, all of the material that the geotech thinks that it does. And then also, it's going to make about 12 acres to be planted. So schedule-wise, we are currently finishing up the 90% design. We think that final design and is going to be done about May or June. We anticipate having that bid advertisement about August or September. The construction duration of about 120 days. One of our goals post-construction is it has to be monitored for a year just to meet some of the grant requirements. And then we estimate the construction cost to be about $2 million. And other than that, that's about it. This is just kind of pictures of the project team from Freese and Nichols. And other than that, I'm gonna turn it right back over to Jacques.
Appreciate it, Matt. I've been monitoring the chat box here. I don't see anything else pertaining to this project or the one before. We'll keep on looking though. And we're getting kind of towards the end now. I guess that will conclude the agenda item 3, the restoration projects. We do have some that are grouped here in this other category. I guess in the meantime, I'll go ahead and have Mr. Brad Lambert with Ducks Unlimited here to present, and then after that, we'll get Mr. Rob DeLon from Digital Engineering to present. And I'm looking here to see if Bryce or anyone from the Greater Lafourche Port Commission has made it yet. If so, we can get them afterwards. I do have some slides and some engineering drawings that was provided for that. And then I would, if anyone's got time after and they're interested in some additional info on doing business with CPRA, I'm going to share my screen and navigate through our website for an earlier question that we got. But with that, go ahead and get Brad to share his screen.
You see that?
Not yet. Let's see if it shows up.
How about now?
No, not on my end.
Hmm.
Let me see. If you happen to sign off and then sign back on, maybe I've not made you a co-host again, but let's see if I got you. No, showing your co-host. See, Brad, I'm seeing if I have your slides here. It looks like something's coming through now. Okay.
Good to go.
Yeah, I think you're good now.
All right. All right. So I'm Brad Lambert. I am a regional engineer for the South Louisiana field office for Ducks Unlimited. We'll burn through this real quick. Thanks, Jacques, for inviting us to this. I know you've done it for the past several years. It's a good opportunity for us to get our projects in front of these contractors. So we'll do a little bit different than what's been being presented. We kind of fall on a niche of a little bit smaller projects than everything that's been presented so far. So this will be like 7 of our relatively larger projects coming up within the next several months, all located within South Louisiana. Almost all of them are marine type construction, and all of them are currently ongoing with design and our permitting. These are the type of projects that I'll be presenting on today. We have structures / embankment, three types of projects on those. We have a ridge restoration project, and we have 3 big earthen terrace jobs coming up. First structure embankment type job is on Marsh Island. This is their big impoundment water control structure that was damaged in the series of hurricanes from 2020, Laura and Delta. So working under NALCA, we have a NALCA grant for this project. We are going to replace the structure kind of in kind. It's got 6 flat gates right now. We're going to replace all of those with a double sheet pile wall type structure, all timber, backfill it, and it'll also have some aluminum flashboard riser water control structures on the managed side. So this structure controls the water levels for this entire southwestern end of Marsh Island. And we're about 60% through a design, anticipating bidding at the end of this summer. We're waiting on a couple breaches that we're going to add into this plan set to be closed off as part of the project as well. Next up, this is on Continental Land and Fur land. This is Lake Hackberry. You can see on this map, kind of west of Houma, off of the GIWW. The goal of the project is pretty much to kind of restrict the exchange going on between the GIWW and the adjacent bayou to the marsh, located just adjacent to the embankment that we're planning on putting out there. It's going to consist of excavating from a soil right adjacent to where the embankment's going to go. If we have funding available for it, we might end up incorporating some linear footage of this wave attenuating, like sawtooth type fence structure that's out there. And again, it's just to kind of reduce the tidal exchange, slow down. We're going to reduce the turbidity in the water, try and get some SAV type growth growing back in there where it used to grow. We anticipate bidding that around the same time as Marsh Island, kind of towards the end of the summer. Next up, we'll plan to bid this one in the fall. We just got the permits for it. It's we call it the Boyd Island structure. It's just south of Creole. So right here at the Highway 82 kind of intersection above Bayou. It's another double sheet pile wall, old structure, been there for decades, kind of dilapidated. Just a total replacement. They'll consist of 5 tidal combination gates, 5 water control structures, aluminum flashboard riser types, backfill, all that stuff, totally dewatered. And this one can probably be done either by marine type construction or land-based construction. You have access up there off of 82 and Trosclair Road. And it's just kind of a typical plan that I put on there. Our big ridge restoration project, it was actually on the slides last year. We kind of going through some permanent issues with it. It's about 10 miles of ridge restoration along Carencro Bayou, located west of Lake DeKalb. It's just going to be mechanical bucket style dredging, using borrow from the bayou to build up the bank line of Carencro Bayou. We actually have several water control structures along that bayou that are not functioning the way we want them to due to several breaches along the bayou. And so we have a couple breach enclosures that'll be part of this whole, comprehensive ridge restoration type project. And we're about 60% through design with that. And like I said, we're kind of trending to bid that more towards the fall of this year. And I'm kind of blazing through this. So I know you're going to share the slides with everybody, Jacques, but I have my contact in these slides and stuff too. But so into our terrace type projects, this is Bayou Lures, northeast of Golden Meadow. This is phase 5. We've just been doing all kinds of terracing just south of Bayou Lures. This is the 5th iteration of that. We actually have that permitted. It's not on our radar to do construction until next year, our next fiscal year. So end of this calendar year. So we're about 30% just conceptual design on it right now. Like I said, bid kind of maybe after peak hurricane season on this one. This is about 56,000 feet of terraces. This is also another phase of something that we've already done previously. The Google Earth image in the background captures the first phase, which is pretty successful. This is just north of Chalmette, just north of a hurricane protection levee, actually. It's about 70,000 feet of terraces that we have permitted. We're still going through permitting, actually. And the hope is that we'll get the permits pretty soon and also bid this one kind of after peak hurricane season in the fall. And we got about, like I said, 70,000 feet of terraces on that one. And then another bigger terracing project that we have on deck is we call it the Highway 1 Terraces and Liver Shoreline, just south of Golden Meadow. This is totally conceptual at this point. This is what we permitted from a conceptual standpoint. We actually have the permits in hand, and I'll be starting geotech on this one pretty soon. And uniquely about this one is that it incorporates some of those Natrix Cajun Coral Living Shoreline products on some of these terraces to be placed on the slope after construction of them. So that was fast and furious, but if anybody has any questions, that's my contacts on this slide. And I added this actually while everybody was talking, these last 2 bullets. If you want to get added to our bidders list, because we have a private bidders list, I put the contact for who to contact, get on our bidders list. And if you want to view and bid on our projects, we do everything via central bidding. So there's a link to our specific site on Central Bidding's website. That's all I got, Jack.
All right. Very good, Brad. Appreciate it. Thanks for the additional resources there at the end as well. I know we're getting down to the end of when we were really initially trying to be done. I think there is at least one more presentation left. Mr. Rob DeLon, thanks for waiting patiently. We can go ahead and get you to share your screen here. Just I'll show the agenda one last time. We've got agenda item 4B, Sunset Park Restoration Project. It's Rob DeLon sitting in for Andrew Woodruff. And then after that, if Bryce Otan is here, I'll let him have it before I take care of one of the earlier questions. It's more, I guess, general in nature for, at least on the CPRA side, how you can do business with us. With that, Rob, I'll let you take it away.
Sorry, Jacques, can you hear me?
Yes, I sure can.
All right, for some reason I couldn't get off of mute, so sorry about that. Let me go ahead and share my screen here.
Yeah, Rob, I recommend whenever you open up the share screen window, Zoom's going to give you a couple different options. I recommend you share the whole screen. I think it works a little bit better with PowerPoint like that, and then open up your PowerPoint in F5. If you hit F5 in presentation mode, it usually works pretty good. Yeah, I can see it here on my end. Looks good. Assuming you can advance, you can go ahead and
Okay.
take it away.
All right, thanks, Jacques.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate the opportunity to present here. This project is Sunset Park Rehabilitation. It's in partnership with CPRA and St. John the Baptist Parish. My name's Rob DeLon. I'm with Digital Engineering, and I'm filling in for Andrew Woodruff, who is the project manager on the project. Just to give you a little idea where Sunset Park is located, it's in St. John Parish on the northern end, right off of Interstate 55, on the shoreline of Lake Maurepas and near past Manchac. Okay, project goal, the parish entered into a cooperative endeavor agreement with CPRA in 2023 for restoration of Sunset Park through the CPRA Partnership Fund. Funding includes $56,250 of state funds and $18,750 of parish matching funds. Project will take place on a 1.5 acre Sunset Park. Kind of already went over where it's located on Lake Maurepas near past Manchac. This is a zoomed in view, aerial view of the park, located along old US Highway 51, which runs parallel to the I-55 elevated interstate bridge between Laplace and Hammond. And the parish, St. John the Baptist Parish, maintains this park. They have a joint use agreement with Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development for the property. The property has also historically been maintained by a nonprofit group called Friends of the Manchac Greenway. And Shoreline Retreat has been threatening this park, especially recently. Some remnants of the past efforts to stop erosion exist in the form of some old broken concrete roadway debris that was brought out there and kind of dropped along the shoreline to stop the erosion. And so this project is going to enhance what has already been put out there by fortifying the existing shoreline with more standard stone armoring sections. Project objectives, kind of already went through this, restoring 1.5 acres of western side of past Manchac. And then also another element of the project is once the shoreline is stabilized, there is a plan to plant native vegetation that will be aided by Southeastern University Department of Biological Sciences. They're going to be working with St. John the Baptist Parish on planting types and locations that will be placed out at the park. Project scope, armoring stone along the entire length of the property shoreline. It's approximately 550 feet. We'll utilize R400 riprap with a crest height of approximately plus 2.5 and a VD88. Side slopes are going to range from 3:1 to 4:1 slopes to the existing grade. Armoring will be placed to maximize the construction budget of $75,000. Contractor will be required to survey pre-construction and during construction to verify quantities. And as I mentioned, Southeastern University will conduct plannings following completion of armoring construction. Once that is complete. So project schedule, design was finished up this month. And the plan is to submit permits in April. And in anticipation of receiving permit approval sometime in the fall of 24. And moving forward with a request for quotes on this project, since this project is below the bid, public bid threshold, the parish will be putting out a request for quotes on this project. Project contacts, myself, filling in for Andrew Woodruff with Digital Engineering, who's the project manager and the project engineer. And then also with St. John the Baptist Parish, Tara Lambeth. She is the planning and zoning director. So if you're interested in the fall and receiving quotes on this project, please reach out to either Andrew, myself, or Tara, so that you can get on the list for the request for quotes. So that was just a brief overview, Jacques, of the project. And if anybody has any questions, please let me know.
All right, good deal. Thank you, Rob.
All right.
Appreciate the mention of the partnership fund as well. I did receive a message in the chat box from the Greater Lafourche Port Commission. Chet Chasson, I believe, is the executive director. He did mention that he's gonna present on behalf of agenda item 4C, the Fouchon Beach Maintenance, Restoration, and Protection Project. Chet, I've made you a co-host. You should be able to share your screen.
Hey, okay, let me work through that right here. Share the screen. 1 second.
Yeah, appreciate it. And I do have it's 3 engineering drawings I can display up here for you if you like as well, that I got from Bryce.
Yeah, that would be what we need to share.
Okay.
If you want to just do that.
Yeah, perfect. Give me a second there. And Chet, if you don't mind, let me know once you see it.
Yeah. So that's the first one.
All right. Yeah, I'll flip through for you and appreciate you.
Okay, that's perfect. And this will be real brief for everybody on the line. We're going to end this fairly quickly. So as you can see, Angelette Design is the designer for this project, New Angelette. And this is an area that we've been working on for many, many years. Honestly, since after Hurricane Juan in 1985, we've been trying to renourish this area of the beach at the Port Commission. And so this section is a little bit larger than our original section. It's about 12,000, a little over 12,000 linear feet of beachhead that'll be renourished with about 1.2 million cubic yards of material that'll be dredged just from an offshore source just to the south of that area. And then an additional, so we have 12 breakwaters that are currently on location. Those will be renourished. And then we have slated in there for 10 more breakwaters to be placed out there, 4 on the west side and 6 more on the east side of what's currently out there now. If you can go to the next one.
Yep.
So that is another portion of the project. That's an additional portion is on the west jetty of Bell Pass. On the backside of the jetty, you can see on the west side that the West Bell Pass headland project. CPRA has done a considerable amount of work there. And then now that that's kind of there's more work that needs to be done, but we need to add more rock on the backside of that jetty, ultimately to protect the newly elevated area of West Bell Pass from washing back into the channel, if and when we get another storm. So that's the purpose of that jetty repair for that location. So that's pretty much it. We're trying to make some repairs for Hurricane Ida damages and a number of other historical hurricanes that have come through that area. If you can imagine, when you're trying to do work, and we all can, you're trying to do work on a beachhead or a headland, every time you put a project together, another storm comes, so you have to start all over from scratch. So that's where we are, and fortunately we're advertising now. So if you go to our website at portfouchon.com and look up bids and proposals, you can find that and you can find it on Central Auction House.
Well, thank you, Chet. I appreciate you stepping in. I just put that in. I just put portfouchon.com into the chat. We can take any questions here now for Chet while he's here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Group. I know we're a good bit over the agenda's end time, but we'll go ahead and take that and any other general questions if we have them. Share my screen again with the agenda. Yeah. And I'm monitoring the chat box here, and if you scroll up in the chat box there, you'll see a question from M. Forston. I've been trying to respond to certain questions throughout just through direct messages, but the question was, will there be any encouragement of using small disadvantaged business enterprises? It goes on to say, for example, women-owned small businesses. And what I'll say about today's project forecast and industry briefing is this is really CPRA wanting to get with a lot of the different entities that we partner with, like Mr. Chasson's organization, the Greater Lafourche Port Commission is an example. Earlier on, you heard from Nick Mathern with the South Lafourche Levee District. These are all construction projects that we're discussing here that are going to be let through those respective levee districts or port commission or parish construction procurement means. And while I can't, I'm a CPRA guy, while I can't speak on behalf of our different partnering entities when it comes to, say, a North Lafourche Levee District project hitting the street, or a Lafitte Area Independent Levee District Town of Jean Lafitte project hitting the street, what I can tell you for if you're interested is on the CPRA side of things. I'll pull up our website. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see, I'll get out of this here, which is coastal.la.gov, which is here. And if you scroll down, this icon right here, assuming you can see my cursor, it's of a little excavator piece of equipment. If you click that, that's probably one of the best resources in terms of doing work with CPRA for different consideration and resources that are available for those different categories that were mentioned above. So for instance, if you click on this blue button here, this is more on the construction side of what we do. If you click here, there's some information here that you can kind of consult here that pretty much kind of gets it really what the attendee's question was. I mean, if your organization is certified minority, woman-owned, small business enterprise, or veteran, we got some info there. And that, once again, that's on the construction side, which we do procure a lot of construction at the state level. And then this is for the other side of what we do, which is just to name a couple of examples, if we're going to go get some survey data collection done, which we do a good bit of that here at CPRA, because all of our work that we do, at least in terms of construction or altering the landscape to do a restoration project or anything, surveying is very commonly encountered. This will kind of walk you through just some of those considerations there. See, there's more information here. And then, to kind of try and answer the question a little bit more clearly, I can't speak as confidently on behalf of our partnering entities, but if you'd like to send me an email, I'll do the best I can to forward that around wherever I can. And if you're interested in more about CPRA, you reached out at a great time. In fact, just yesterday there was an update on all the state-led procurement projects that are about to hit the street, but we also did a contracting update. There's some information there that I think might be relevant, and also just all the technical webinar series that took place in the preceding week. They don't really get too into the details on the way that contracts are awarded and really what get at that question. But if you're interested in just understanding more about how CPRA does things, just some of the technical subject matter, that's going to be a great place too. Well, y'all, look, I appreciate it. And just on behalf of CPRA, I've seen a lot of y'all in person this week. I've talked with a lot of y'all virtually over meetings last week and today, of course, too. I guess we can go ahead and conclude CPRA's Coastal Industry Week, and just want to say thanks for everybody, in particular on the partner-led day. I always come away from these really feeling educated and impressed at the scale of work that's going on. Really got to hand it to all y'all, from the local levy districts to the parishes, and like the Greater Lafourche Port Commission, our partners at NRCS, Brad and the gang over at Ducks Unlimited. Just we're honored to be able to work in concert with y'all here on behalf of CPRA. So with that, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off and look to see everybody, I guess, next year for Coastal Industry Week and everything. Y'all have a good one, all right?